Okay, so 10 years ago, I retired. I was 39, and I didn't even have $1,000,000. Well, not yet anyway. A lot of people thought I was insane. Like, they literally just start doing the math out loud in front of me, trying to talk me out of it without actually saying, well, don't do this. And I mean, honestly, at the time, I got it. I understood why they might be worried. So it's been 10 years now. And the question that I get like a lot in every comment section of these videos is, was it worth it? And here's the thing, I don't think that's actually the right question anymore. I used to think it was. I mean, it basically took me this whole decade to figure out why it isn't. But let me back up though. See, everybody gets stuck on the same thing when they think about early retirement. How much money do I need? I mean, that's the whole conversation, right? The spreadsheet, the calculator, staying up till 1 a.m. doing the math. And look, yeah, the money part, that matters. I'm not saying it doesn't. But 10 years into this, the money wasn't actually the hard part. See, nobody warned me about all the other stuff. Not because they lied or they held out on me or whatever. I just don't think that you can explain it. I mean, some things you have to live through. So, thank you, by the way. Before I get in all this, we're closing in on 20,000 subscribers, which is like still kind of wild to me. And I'm hoping to hit 50,000 at some point. And none of that happens without you actually showing up and watching. So genuinely, thank you. Anyway, let's get back to the beginning because I want you to actually feel what I felt and not just hear about it. No alarm, no boss, no back-to-back meetings, just time, a crazy amount of it. And it was mine. I could do whatever I wanted with it. I mostly traveled. I can remember this one morning, I was in Chiang Mai, Thailand, just sitting on the balcony of my Airbnb, watching the street wake up, and just thinking, I did it. This is real. Like, nobody can take this moment away from me. Honestly, those first few months were great. Like, truly great. But, and this is the part, well, I guess you don't realize until you're living it. Eventually, it just became my normal life. I mean, nobody tells you this, and I honestly don't think they can. But I think people just assume that happiness just keeps going up the longer that you're free. Like, it just keeps getting better forever. Turns out, that's not how life works. I mean, as much as we love it, travel starts feeling normal. And freedom starts feeling normal. Sleeping in until you wake up, that's normal too. And the first time that that hit me, I actually felt kind of weird about it. Like, shouldn't this still feel like a vacation? Shouldn't I still be pinching myself? But no, that's not disappointment. That's just us. That's how we're built. See, we adapt to the good stuff the exact same way that we adapt to the hard stuff. It's not a crack in the plan. It doesn't mean that retiring was a mistake. It's just our biology doing its thing. And once that clicked for me, something kind of shifted because I mean, it took me actually a couple years to admit this, but retirement isn't just about staying excited forever. It's about building a life where just being normal feels okay, feels good even. And I know maybe that sounds weird, but if you think about it, most people are chasing a feeling. And I was too at first. But feelings, they don't last. They just don't, no matter how good the thing is. What actually sticks around, if you build it right, is whatever's underneath that feeling. Like something that's still fine on a random Tuesday morning when nothing's happening at all. So, once the excitement wore off, what was actually left? Like, what do you fill your days with once I'm free stops being enough on its own? And honestly, that question kind of messed with me for a while, because it turns out retirement was never really about not working. And I know that might sound backwards, but just stick with me a second. It was more about who gets to decide what my time is actually worth. So that's kind of actually where this channel came from. I wanted people to start thinking differently about retirement before they got buried in spreadsheets and forgot to ask the actual question. But it showed up in smaller ways too. I started going to the gym 4 times a week, not chasing some shredded in my 40s thing, just because, well, I finally had the time and energy to take care of my body instead of just keeping it running on fumes. We started visiting family whenever we actually wanted to, not just around holidays or whatever week we could scrape together through work. And now we do stuff like grocery shopping on a Wednesday morning instead of fighting the whole world for our parking lot on Saturday mornings. Speaking of mornings, my mornings got really long too, honestly, but in the best way. My wife and I, we started taking whole months to travel instead of just like 9 days into some checklist trip where you see everything, but you remember almost none of it. And somewhere in there, I started noticing ordinary days, not just the Bali beach days, not some milestone, just like a Tuesday where nothing happened and it was still good. That's when it became clear to me. Retirement, it isn't just an escape from something. It's more like ownership of your own time. But I got to be straight with you here, because if I only tell you the good parts, you probably stop trusting me right now. See, the hard stuff from before I retired, that didn't just vanish the second that I quit. I mean, the market still crashed. Remember the pandemic? Yeah, that was fun, right? I watched my portfolio drop in ways that gave me real doubts about my situation. Same as it would have if I was still working. And inflation the past 10 years has been just brutal. I mean, everybody knows that, right? And fear, well, fear didn't go away totally. I still had nights doing the math in my head instead of sleeping. A few of them, actually. So, what actually changed then if the worry stuck around? I think here's the actual difference. And it's small, but it changes everything. The worry stopped running my whole day. I wasn't putting my life on hold to just sit there and worry about my life. Before, it just all mixed together. Worrying on the drive to work, worrying in meetings, half listening to somebody talk about their weekend while I'm doing math in my head the whole time. After I retired, yeah, the worry still shows up sometimes. It's just that now it just shows up like a guest instead of like it's running the whole place. And I think part of that is just that, well, 10 years in, you start to notice the pattern. It's always been okay, every single time. I mean, the markets dip, something breaks, some bill shows up that you didn't plan for, and somehow it just works out. It always has. And at some point, you just start trusting that about yourself too. Like, I know I can handle whatever comes next. I've done it before, plenty of times. I'll do it again. And that's basically the biggest mistake that I see people make. I made it too for years before I even noticed that I was doing it. When people ask me how much money they need, they're usually not actually asking about money. What they're really asking underneath it is, when am I allowed to start living the life that I want? See, those are two completely different questions. One's math, one's permission. And you can nail the math part and still never give yourself the permission part. I mean, it's crazy. But I've talked to people with way more money than I'll ever have who still feel stuck because the number that they're chasing just keeps getting bigger out of fear, usually. Which gets me to the part that I think about more than anything else, honestly. If I'd kept working those 10 years, yeah, my portfolio would probably be a lot bigger right now. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But here's the thing that I do know for sure. And honestly, it still gets me every time that I really think about it. I would have given up 10 years of mornings, 10 years of just sitting there with bubble tea, no rush to be anywhere, 10 years of traveling while I was still young enough and healthy enough to actually enjoy it. I would have traded away meeting my wife on my first trip to Cambodia, a trip that I only took because I finally had the time to take it. 9 years with her, gone, if I hadn't retired when I did. See, money compounds, and I knew that going in. But you gotta understand, life doesn't just wait around for your portfolio to catch up. It just keeps moving whether you're ready or not. So, was it worth it? Truthfully, I'll tell you what was harder than I expected. Freedom wears off fast. Travel wears off fast. Retirement doesn't just hand you purpose, it hands you time. And you still got to figure out what to do with it, or it just kind of slips by without you noticing. And I'll tell you what was better than expected too. Just having my time back fully, way less stress. And that actually showed up in my health, not just my mood. I have no doubt that my marriage is stronger than if we were both working and stressed out all the time. Ours is built around mornings together, not just leftover evenings like the majority of people. I'm actually there with people now instead of just half listening while my brain's somewhere else. I figured out that eventually that a plain, boring day can turn out to be a really good one. And that a long walk like this, talking to you, brings me far more satisfaction than the day at my job ever did. You know, this channel has let me help people rethink what retirement means, which I didn't expect either. Speaking of which, if this video is making you rethink your own retirement, go ahead and subscribe now. This is the type of real life stuff that I talk about in this channel. So, if I could sit down across from myself at 39, right before I wrote my resignation letter, I wouldn't tell him which stocks to buy. I wouldn't warn him about the crashes or what inflation was going to do to his grocery bill a decade out. I'd just tell him one thing: stop obsessing over the money. Spend that energy thinking about the life that you're actually trying to buy with it. So, was retiring at 39 without even $1 million worth it? Yeah. Not because everything went perfectly, because it didn't. Not because every day felt like a vacation, because most of them eventually stopped feeling that way. Not because I never worried, because I did plenty. It was worth it because I got something that nobody can hand me back later, no matter how much money I make up for it after the fact. 10 extra years living life on my own terms. See, most people, they spend decades chasing the perfect retirement number. I chased the number for years thinking that that's what I wanted. Turns out, I didn't want the number. I wanted the time. Look, my friend, whether you retire at 39 or 55 or 65, don't spend so much energy chasing the perfect number that you lose sight of why you're chasing it. Because one day, you're going to look back on a decade of your life and realize that the most valuable thing that you have was never sitting in some brokerage account. It was the years. And hey, if you're sitting there thinking that you need $1 million plus to even attempt this, I've got another video where I actually break down that assumption. I'll link it below. It's definitely worth a few minutes of your time, so make sure you go watch it next. And remember, retirement is not just a math problem. Appreciate you watching, my friend. I'll see you in the next one.